Om deze tentoonstelling te organiseren zijn we natuurlijk de archieven ingedoken. Maar hebben we ook gesproken met de dochters van de baron en de barones, Alexandra en Vanessa.
My parents were what you would call nowadays jet set. That is to say, they liked to show off, they liked to travel, they liked to meet famous people. And that is one of the reasons why this castle became the place where they could receive as guests.
The nice thing about here, well, it was much before Instagram and selfies and stuff, but no one took pictures. It was friends, so it wasn't about press people or they were in security here. They were just friends. They could do whatever they wanted to. No one was going to judge them or see them if they were not put the most amazing makeup, even if they did at night and they looked beautiful in ball gowns.
En we spraken met de bewoners van Haar.
Als jochie zijnde, ik woonde op de Utrechtseweg, dat is halverwege Vleuten Utrecht. En eens per jaar dan kwam de baron langs en dan kwamen allemaal van die grote Amerikaanse wagen, die sleeën, een man of, ja, ik denk een stuk of 8 achter elkaar. En daar kwam de baron aan met allemaal mooie vrouwen in die auto. Als kind zeiden daar, oh nou, daar komt hij weer aan.
En dan zijn er natuurlijk ook de beroemdheden die op dit kasteel verbleven.
Het is allemaal zo groot, hè? Voordat je van je eetkamertje naar je slaapkamer, dan ben je een halve kilometer onderweg.
Gedurende de maand september verbleven er ieder weekend zeker 30 gasten op het landgoed. Ze kwamen in een ontspannen sfeer voor luxe, spelletjes en verkleedpartijen.
Maybe this whole idea of inviting and receiving celebrities from the world of movies and theatre came originally from my grandfather Egmont, whose mistress was a very famous, in those days, theatre star called Leonora Corbett, who was on Broadway regularly. And maybe the fact that when my father was growing up as a young boy and coming here for holidays, etc., and he got into meeting people like Noel Coward and Leonora Corbett, who apparently were incredibly funny, cultivated people. And as a young boy saying, hey, these people are so much more amusing, you know, than the dukes and marquises and duchesses and whatever. I like these people. And I think maybe that's one of the reasons that why he was so attracted.
Most people were celebrities here that came around my father and mother. No, one thing is that most people who were here were quite famous, whether on screen or not, because if you had Mr. Agnelli, you had the Aga Khans, you had, I mean, very important people. So for us, we knew that when our mom looked at us, we had to behave. The only thing was with movie stars, we were allowed to be a bit more, we didn't have to behave as much, let's say.
My father was a great showman. He loved telling stories. He was a fabulous raconteur. And he liked the kind of atmosphere where he was, in fact, inventing, as though he were a filmmaker himself in a way. And it so happens that one of my mother's early friends in America was a screenwriter called Harry Kernitz, who was one of the people who were on the famous Hollywood blacklist, as you know, because they were accused of being communists or being attracted to communism. And through Harry Kernitz, my parents met all these agents and writers and producers who in turn introduced them to a lot of their clients.
De bewoners op de Haar die wisten dat niet, want het gebeurde allemaal via de poort op het kasteel. Dus Marie-Hélène die was de feestneus, vind ik, van de club. Dat is een zuster van de baron en die nodigde die mensen uit. Dus die kwam een weekend en die kwamen door de poort heen. Nou, en het hele dorp wist het niet. Dus dat maakte niet uit. En wij hebben het er gewoon niet over gehad. Want wij wisten dat ze kwamen, maar verder ook niet. Dat ga je ook niet zeggen.
Maar je wist ook niet precies wie er kwam?
Jawel. Oh. Die mensen kun je zien. Die komen er langs.
Roger Moore, Michael Caine,
Maria Callas,
Lauren Bacall,
Brigitte Bardot.
Brigitte Bardot, Roger Moore en volgens mij is John Wayne nog geweest.
Gregory Peck.
Teddy Savalas heb ik wel gezien.
Michael York.
Een belangrijke vriend van de familie was de Amerikaanse agent, manager en restauranthouder Swifty Lazar. Een icoon in Hollywood met een grote vriendenkring.
The center was Swifty Lazar, whose closest friend was Billy Wilder. And Billy Wilder and Swifty Lazar, for about 15 years, came to the castle every September for at least a long weekend.
Did you know who Billy Wilder was?
Yes, of course I did. I mean, when I was about 6 years old or younger, I was introduced to Some Like It Hot. And we knew who Billy Wilder was. I knew who Billy Wilder was much more than I knew who Swifty Lazar was, because an agent was something very abstract for a child.
Gregory Peck was, first of all, he was the most tender and affectionate. He was like a second dad. And when I was in an English boarding school for a long time, and I was actually quite unhappy, as many children are at boarding school. And he'd send me every month some books. He knew I loved 19th century literature, so he'd send me books, and he knew I loved Jane Austen, as all young girls around 15 or 16. And he found these first editions. He sent me of Pride and Prejudice, of Emma, and he was amazing. And with my mom, it was cute because my mom was ill at one point, and so he is being part of the Academy of the Oscars. You know, you receive all the films, and so he'd send them to my mom. And so he'd send her all the movies that hadn't come out, you know, they would come out a year later or something. And he was so handsome. He'd be drinking his whiskey sour, and just here in the living room. And sometimes we looked at him and we felt we were in a movie. He was, and very, you know, he's very, very tall, like my father, like 1.93 meters or 5 maybe. And I'm very tall too, so I loved it. He was this beautiful, a miracle.
These film stars arrived in this amazing atmosphere where you had the impression Downton Abbey, you know, multiplied by 10, where luxury was all around, where the food was fabulous, everything was perfect, because my mother was the greatest organizer ever. But they didn't feel that they had to play the role of celebrities. They felt that they could blend in with people who were not impressed by the fact that they were Roger Moore, except for my sister Vanessa, but we'll tell that story again, or that they were Gregory Peck, but adored them because they were funny, they were kind, they were warm, and people liked them as people, and they knew that.
Acteurs Michael Caine en Roger Moore verbleven samen een weekend op de Haar. We lieten Michael Caine een foto van het kasteel zien. Michael Caine en Roger Moore waren jarenlang goede vrienden en ze mochten elkaar graag plagen.
It was funny because Michael Caine has a Cockney accent. And so we were in the dining room and he said in front of everybody, he said, Roger, I won't do the Cockney accent so well. So, Roger, can I remind you that you had a worse Cockney accent than I did, and you're a fake.
Oh yeah, I make fun of that because he's a Cockney, Roger. He spoke like that.
So actually, Roger Moore did not like that very much, but he had to laugh, and Michael was laughing hysterically. It was very funny. And he was a very funny guy, very simple, great actor.
I had a great time in Holland.
And his wife is so beautiful. I've never seen such a beautiful creature.
My name is Bond, James Bond.
My sister Vanessa, who must have been about 13 or something, or very young at the time, was so in awe of meeting James Bond.
Roger Moore, we used to watch James Bonds when we were tiny, I mean like 6 years old or something, because we in the ballroom that's over there.
And kept saying to him, oh please, can you say my name is Bond, James Bond?
Yes, my name is Bond, James Bond.
And he was really fed up, you know, after 4 times of saying my name is Bond.
My name is Bond, James Bond.
James Bond, okay, can we do something? But very politely, you know. She said, once more, please.
Except that Mr. Bond, who's not here now, I mean, who passed away, thought we were terrible girls because we spent our time. I kept on saying, "Can you say again, my name is Bond, James Bond?"
The name is Bond, James Bond.
And he said it, and I said, no. You say, my name is Bond, James Bond. And he was like, so yes, I did realize a bit too early, I think.
My name is Bond. James Bond.
Het kasteel wordt regelmatig gebruikt voor de opnames van televisieseries en films. En het gevolg daarvan is dat heel veel Nederlandse beroemdheden het kasteel bezocht hebben. Wat is eigenlijk jullie herinnering aan dit kasteel?
Nou, de opnames van de Koele Meren des Doods. En als het vroor, als er ijs lag, schaatsen op het Grand Kanaal hier.
Want wij hebben natuurlijk 18 jaar op 4 kilometer afstand hier gewoond op Bolenstein aan de Vecht. En al die tijd gingen we heerlijk schaatsen hier. Ja.
Dure opnames. Maar het was ontzettend fijn dat we, ja, want het slaat meteen over, ook op de mensen die er zitten. Mensen gingen ze allemaal deftig gedragen en mooi lopen. En dat hoef je daar allemaal niet meer in te regisseren.
Darf ich? Dank je. Beatrix en Klaus, die hebben elkaar hier ontmoet. Dit plekje stond Beatrix. Klaus. En zij had eigenlijk een partner nodig en ze raakte in gesprek en hier gebeurde dat. Die magie is hier gebeurd.
Wer sind Sie?
Klaus van Amsberg.
In dit kasteel?
In dit kasteel.
Op deze plek?
Op deze plek. Weliswaar in de serie Beatrix Oranje onder vuur, dat wel, maar toch.
Want dat hadden jullie zelf bedacht?
Nou ja, die ontmoeting is natuurlijk niet helemaal duidelijk waar dat vond plaats in Duitsland. Maar die scène hebben we hier gefilmd op een heel mooi bal. Nou, dat kan hier prachtig.
Hij wordt lekker, zo ruim. Ik ga ook meteen zo deftig praten. En zo. Nou, dat heb ik helemaal moeten leren natuurlijk, haar taal hoor. Die spreek ik niet echt.
Waar gaat het naartoe met ons land?
Maar zo'n kasteel geeft gelijk al iets mee aan het karakter wat je moet spelen. Hè?
Ja, dat helpt enorm. Het helpt enorm, want je gaat al rechtop lopen ten eerste. Want je hebt de ruimte.
Beatrix organiseerde toen ze net getrouwd was tuinfeesten voor de elite of voor eigenlijk de moderne kunstenaars. Wim T. Schippers kwam daar langs en die scène hebben we hier in de tuin gefilmd.
Kunst is vooral een kwestie van scheppen.
Meneer Schippers?
Wim T.
Wim, wat maakt dit nou kunst?
Wat vind je eigenlijk van het kasteel als je hier rondloopt?
Ja, het is een beetje flauw om filmgeniek te zeggen, maar het is, ik bedoel, als je naar zoiets alleen al daar op een wand kijkt, is het echt, alles heeft een soort. Nou ben ik niet echt heel erg op de hoogte van hoe kastelen er van binnenuit zien, moet ik eerlijk toegeven. Het is niet zo dat ik soort elke week wel ergens in een kasteel. En het is echt een kasteel waar ik heb gewerkt met een soort gevoel van dit is mijn theater, dit is mijn grootheidswaanzin van een filmmaker. Dat de wereld op dat moment even van hem is. Totdat hij gewoon stop roept en dan is het ineens weer van iedereen behalve van hem.
The fact that every time I come here, I say to myself, okay, we've managed to get through another year where we can still come, where the castle is in great shape, where thanks to all the people who are working here, we have these volunteers who are here, who do an amazing job. We have Annette de Jong, we have the Stichting, all these people are working, but they're not only working for me to remain a baroness, but I think it's important, and I hope it's important, that they feel that if the family is part of the castle, it gives it an extra dimension, that people feel that this is not just a monument that you visit. It is a monument, but it is also something with a heart, a live-in castle, as people say, and where we are, as I said at the beginning, you asked me what the first word I said, and I said thankfulness. I mean, who could imagine that 110 years later, we would still be able to enjoy this amazing place? So the future, I hope the future means that I can keep coming here and that people will want to come here, maybe not to interview me, but to see all the wonderful things that there are to see. And I think, Baroness or not Baroness, the most important thing is the castle and the family, and that the people who work for the castle, as well as the people who visit the castle, should feel that it's a real bond and not just, you know, publicity or whatever, that there is, the family and the castle go together and we work together.